All right, let's talk about computer networking. We're going to pull back the curtain on this invisible magic that basically powers our entire connected world. I mean, it is everywhere.
Have you ever really thought about it? You send a WhatsApp message, maybe a photo, to a friend who's literally on the other side of the planet, and poof, it's there in a second. How on earth does that happen? It feels like magic, right? Well, it's not, but it's pretty darn close.
So the answer to that question, it's all about networking. At its heart, it's a really simple idea. It's just the process of connecting two or more devices so they can share stuff, information, resources, you name it. Whether you're streaming a movie or just sending a file to the printer, it all comes back to this one core idea: connection.
Okay, so to really get how all this works, we've got to look at the basic building blocks. The fundamental pieces that make up any network, whether it's tiny or absolutely massive. All right, first up is something called a node. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but trust me, it's not. A node is just any device, any single thing that's hooked up to the network.
And you are literally surrounded by them. Right now. Your computer? That's a node. The printer down the hall at work? Yep, that's a node too. Your smartphone, your smart TV, if it's connected, guess what? It's a node. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've got all these devices, these nodes, but how do they talk to the rest of the world? Well, that's the job of the router. The best way to think about a router is like an air traffic controller for your data. It sits at the gateway between your home network and the giant, sprawling network of the internet, and its whole job is to direct traffic, making sure every little packet of data goes exactly where it's supposed to. And you know this thing. It's that little box with the blinking lights in the corner of your living room, right? That's your home's personal traffic cop. It's constantly managing requests from your phone, your laptop, your TV, shooting them out to the internet, and then catching all the data that comes flying back and making sure it gets the right screen.
Now, people often mix up routers and switches, but they have totally different jobs. So if the router is the main traffic controller that connects your whole neighborhood to the highway system of the internet, a switch is more like the mailroom clerk inside your office building. It doesn't deal with the outside world. Its only job is to make sure that a file from your computer gets to the printer down the hall. It's all about handling the local internal traffic.
So we've got nodes, routers, switches. Those are the basic parts. But what's really cool is how you can use these same building blocks to create networks on totally different scales. I'm talking from the little bubble of space right around you, all the way up to something that covers the entire planet. And this chart lays it out so well. Let's start small. You've got your PAN, your personal area network. Think Bluetooth. It's just the stuff connected directly to you, like your phone and your earbuds. Now let's zoom out. You get to the LAN, the local area network. That's your whole office or your school campus. Let's go bigger. The MAN, or Metropolitan Area Network, can cover a whole city. Think of the network that brings cable TV to everyone. And then the big one, the WAN, the Wide Area Network. For all intents and purposes, that's the internet.
Here's the super simple way to think about it. When you're just connected to the Wi-Fi at your school or office, you're on a LAN. But the second you type something into Google and hit enter, your computer makes this incredible leap. It jumps from your local LAN, passes through a router, and shoots out onto the global WAN to find what you're looking for. It's this seamless jump from local to global that happens millions of times a second.
Okay, so we know the parts and we know the different sizes. But how are they actually arranged? Like, what's the blueprint? In the networking world, they call this the topology, which is just a fancy word for the layout. Now, you can hook up a network in a bunch of different ways, but the one you're going to run into most of the time is called the star topology. And the idea is super simple. You have one central device, like a switch, and every single computer, every printer plugs directly into that central point. It literally looks like a star. And there's a really smart reason this is so common, especially in places like offices. Think about it. If your computer crashes, it doesn't affect anyone else because everyone has their own private connection to the center. The rest of the network just keeps on humming along. It's a huge deal for reliability. One problem doesn't create a catastrophe for everyone. All right, we've covered the parts, the sizes, the layouts, but that brings us to the big question, right? Why should you care? What's the real impact of all this? What are the pros and the cons of having everything connected? Well, it's really a classic trade-off, like two sides of the same coin. On the one hand, the biggest advantage is sharing resources. An office can have just one amazing printer for everybody, instead of a cheap one on every desk. That saves a ton of money. But there's a big downside. The flip side is security.
The moment you connect to a network, you open a door, and that door can make you vulnerable to hackers, to malware. A single problem can put the whole system at risk. But okay, let's look beyond just the office. What's the real, ultimate impact that networking has on our everyday lives? I want you to really stop and think about this. Without networking, there's no email, no online classes, no Instagram, no TikTok, no Google Drive, no FaceTime with your family. I mean, pretty much everything we consider modern life would just stop. So you see, networking isn't just some nerdy thing for the IT department. It is the invisible backbone that holds up our entire world. It's the foundation that almost everything we do is built on. So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this simple little equation. Networking is all about three things: connection, which enables communication, which makes sharing possible. Connection, communication, sharing. It's a simple idea, but it's an idea that has completely and totally changed the world.